Hi. Welcome to Old Blood Endeavors streams live on a Friday. We're working on the name of that.
Old Blood streams on Friday.
Old Blood streams on Friday. Friday.
Have you ever thought about what an
Friday.
Old Blood stream would look like if you took it literally? Like blood that's old, so it means it's being drained out of a human. It's like it's not. It's been out for a while, and it's just a stream of it, like it's flowing somewhere.
Just lightly
pretty
along the shore.
I like it.
Yeah.
There we go. There's Andy. Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, guys.
As always, let's see. Today we've got it's March 19th, 2021, and here in the studio we've got Dan joining us from his home office today.
Wait.
Wait, huh? We've got Dan in office.
No, it's a cool hologram trick.
We're usually instead of his home office. And then, hey Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
Good to be here, across the table from you.
We got your
last week.
man, so much eye contact. I'm gonna be so filled up. And
Do you guys miss having mouth contact though? Like you got those masks on, like you can't touch mouths.
I don't miss. Yeah.
You don't miss
I miss
touching
it.
mouths with Dan?
No, we never did that.
Never really
and then
mouth touchers.
also here in the old shop we got Seth and Kylan joining us. Hey guys, get yourselves. Show yourselves.
Let me see here.
Except for Kylan, don't show Kylan.
Okay. Andy says no Kylan, but
Kylan says mean things sometimes, so we shouldn't put him on the street. Hey, he just flipped me off.
yeah.
I know this. Hey, it's on the street.
It's dangerous.
Ban this guy. Let's
Yeah.
folks. Let's cancel this guy. This guy just flipped us off.
Man. All right.
You guys know what to do. Twitter, do your thing. Cancel this guy.
Kylan Massey, K-I-L-Y-N M-A-S-S-E-Y. That's all I'll say. It's up to the public.
Kylan Creedwater.
That's good. And then also Andy is joining us from Albuquerque.
Hello.
Hey Andrew.
I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have running water and heat and cooling here. We're part of America.
No electricity.
No electricity,
for guitars.
but we do have running water. So,
well,
you're right.
that's excellent. Hey Brady,
so
I have a
James says
question. What the hell is that guitar-looking thing? What do you
That's
mean?
only the coolest guitar you have, right?
The guitar
Dunnable?
in my hands? Oh, yeah, it's a
Dunnable, right?
Dunnable. What does he call these? The R2s, right?
Sounds
Because
right.
they're originally RD. But
R2? What?
I think
what
they're
is that? Is that a
R2s.
Star Wars reference or what?
I don't know. No, I think RD is the original name of like the Gibson design, right? And then I don't know. He probably couldn't call it an RD.
Is this his first appearance on the stream?
Yeah, it might be. This
I think
guitar
it
is
is.
great. It's made out of a particularly heavy wood that I don't know how to pronounce specifically. Is it
I was interested in Dan's
Wenge or
Telly, too.
Wenge?
I don't know. I feel like Wenge is my instinct, but that's just my instinct.
I've been corrected both ways, so I don't know.
Wenge.
Wenge.
Wenge just doesn't sound.
Yeah, it doesn't
You
sound
want to give it
proper.
a two-syllable.
But it's a very heavy, dense wood, and it's great. It's a fun guitar. And Dan, what do you?
I love your.
Yeah.
I just want to say I love your shirt today, Brady. I think it's a great shirt.
Thank you. It's Friday shirt.
Friday shirt. Okay. You only wear this on Fridays?
For some reason, yeah. Kind of lined up. It's sort of my reward because I'm out of t-shirts. And by this time I've folded my laundry by Friday or Thursday, so I can pull it right back down. Anyways.
Cool.
Dan, what's up with the telly that you're doing?
Yeah, so this is a Schecter Telecaster shaped object. I cannot remember. I feel like it starts with a PT, but I cannot remember.
Oh, it's a
model
PT
name.
Cruiser. That's
Yeah, PT Cruiser.
PT3 or something like that.
Common
This is
color.
my like R&D guitar. This one, it lives at the office here, so I haven't touched it in a year, and I realized it should be.
Is that humbuckers on that thing?
Yeah, so I got two humbuckers on here. I really don't know the details on this. I just know it's a pretty green with a Bigsby. And
Does it have
there's like
the-
a coil
yeah.
tap on each, so
Oh, cool tap. Cool.
That guitar does
More
get
like a cool tap. That's what I'm
so we can get telly-ish. You can really tell what's going on with the pickups when it's processed through all
yeah.
this.
Analog
But yeah,
processing.
it's just a real fun like telly
Hey, can I
deluxe-ish
tell you
thing.
guys about my guitar today?
Yeah.
It's from our friend Nystrom Guitars.
Ooh,
Remember when
nice.
he was doing guitars?
Nystrom.
Yeah. When did you get that?
This was well, it was probably 5 years ago or so. He just really wanted to make me a guitar and have one. I did a bunch of demos for his other guitars. And he made me a Jazzmaster because I was like, I have a bunch of Telecasters. That's mostly what I like, but I want a Jazzmaster. And I said, I want block inlays, I want a matching headstock, and I want white. And I don't want all that stupid switching on a normal Jazzmaster. I want a normal three-way switcher.
Nice.
And it's great, and I love it. And it's got a mastery bridge and Porter pickups, and it's really great. And I love it, and I'm thankful for it every day.
It's a looker for sure.
That's cool. I just hit myself in the face.
Same.
I was looking at the Seth. What's the double screen? What's the upper left
Oh, that.
on the screen?
Sorry. Picture in picture.
Picture P&P.
PP.
You don't like some P&P?
No, it's fine. I just thought it was cool. We were doubling up. Hey Randy, we were talking about you earlier. That's it.
We were
Nystrom.
talking about you earlier.
Nystrom has a shop now. Slow down.
Wait, so Nystrom is like it's not a guitar creator. It's they sell guitars, right?
Yeah,
They're like
I don't know
reseller?
if he's making guitars anymore. He stopped for a little while, and now he has more of a shop. where
Kylan,
he's
stop.
selling pedals and guitars and stuff. Kylan's just in here trolling you, man.
Yeah, I know. As always, freaking Kylan. I'm gonna drink however many beers I want, Kylan. You can't stop me. Shit.
Can you stop him?
Mm-mm.
Nope. Okay.
Come over. Hey,
Stop.
come over here, Kylan. Fight me. Come fight me. Get this beer out of my hands, Kylan. Come over here.
What beer are you drinking right now?
So this is a Project Dank from La Cumbre Brewing Company, my favorite brewery here in New Mexico.
Mm.
This is a West Coast IPA that they change the recipe every quarter. So this is the
Oh,
spring edition.
that's kind of
Really
nice.
dank
Yeah.
IPA. It's Project Dank, folks. It's really dank.
I thought that you gave up on IPAs.
Yeah, I said that earlier, and now I've had 3 of them today, so I don't know.
That's okay. I like it.
No, Kylan, don't talk about Skillet right now. We can't talk about Skillet. This is an anti-Calvinist stream, okay?
Anyways, yeah. You can use a bottle as a slide. Well, it's just us today, guys, and let's just get down to business. Yeah.
I can play the
Andy's a
slide.
lot louder than we are. Which, I mean, what he's playing is... Yeah, that's good.
That's
right
good,
there.
yeah.
I feel like I lost.
Randy, I'm gonna agree with you. The Architects' new album does sound like Skillet, and that's not a good thing. The new Architects album is not good.
Ooh.
Ben Shapiro as a metric of cool.
Let's get down to tremolo
Let's talk tremolo.
because
we have one purpose today. And
Yeah.
The rest is fun, but I guess we should talk purpose.
Yeah, so I mentioned this at some point. We talked about these specific tremolos. I think at our first stream, possibly like our first.
Back
Yeah, we
in
did.
November of last year.
old blood streams.
Right before we canceled streams because of
Yeah.
spikes.
Yeah. So, and I think as a result of it being early on in the process, that episode didn't archive. So, we're going to talk about them right now. And it'll probably be pretty concise and probably not be as informative. I'm sure we were nervous and wanted to really nail all the things the first time through, and now we just don't give a shit.
I think it just gave a Dan Explains It
Yes.
All last time we did it. It's like, okay, it's my turn. Okay, let's talk about the history of tremolo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I guess people just have questions about the difference between Whitecap and Blackcap. And maybe at this point they don't even anymore. But
Yeah, I mean, nobody's ordering them, so I wouldn't say that they care too much.
maybe they all had questions, but they were too afraid to ask. And everyone's on this stream
Yeah.
here right now.
Yeah, I think here's an important starting point for you guys wondering about the old blood tremolo pedals. We made a singular tremolo pedal called the Whitecap that had a long and troubled history,
An arduous past.
an arduous past, a journey, quite a journey, and then Dan had the idea to make a harmonic version, and we called that the Blackcap. And that's the tremolos.
Yeah. Put out
What's
a
it
real...
and Renee in chat is correctly saying that it is a double tremolo. There's two tremolos in there.
It's a
we
two.
We didn't just put out a single tremolo. We put out two tremolos. But
Two.
you
Why
could
quad
would you
buy
put out
them
a
in
single
one box.
tremolo?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
boring.
We got quad trims.
That was part of how we ended up at Whitecap, really. Was we didn't want to make a single tremolo because there's a lot of great single tremolos out there.
Wait, so big LA in chat has a question. It says, what's the difference between chorus and tremolo? Which, if I could take a stab at the most concise way to say it, is tremolo is volume modulation and chorus is pitch modulation.
Bingo. Yeah.
That'd be the best way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so like a standard tremolo, and we'll talk about what makes Whitecap different from Blackcap. But if you're looking at what's in Whitecap, it's all amplitude modulation. So turning your volume up and down. That's what a
amplitude
tremolo
is smart guy speak for volume.
Exactly.
By the way, Dan's the smart guy. I'll convert it for all you dumb guys in the chat.
And then a chorus is you modulate the pitch of the note up and down, and then blend it back in with the dry signal. So if you're just changing the pitch, that's a vibrato.
Right.
And then if you mix dry signal back in, that's what makes it a chorus. That's just what gives that effect. So yeah, and I feel like it's funny that they asked about chorus and tremolo, because tremolo and vibrato are two terms that have been so mixed up over the course of guitar history. Like when you look at, I think certain harmonic tremolos are even labeled vibrato on amplifiers, because I don't know if like a standard tremolo probably didn't originate in amps, or maybe it did, but yeah, like you'd have tremolos that just modulated the volume, and then harmonic tremolos that do a different thing, which we can get into. And sometimes those would be labeled vibratos. Sometimes this bar on your guitar might be called a tremolo, even though what it creates is pitch modulation, so it's really a vibrato.
When I'm looking at
my
twin reverb over here has normal input and vibrato input.
There you go. Yeah.
But what you have when you do the vibrato input is tremolo. It's not vibrato.
And probably not even a harmonic tremolo, but just a standard probably bias or photocell or some tremolo.
And Gummy
technology.
Papa with a great point saying vodka and water are often mixed up as well, which is very true. Thank you, Gummy Papa.
I'd say like water is standard tremolo, and then vodka is harmonic tremolo.
Ooh, yeah.
It has that very very watery sound to it. Nobody.
No, I don't feel like they're very interchangeable. Vodka sounds.
Vodka and water? No, not interchangeable at all.
Would not want to make a water martini or hydrate with vodka.
Yeah.
Man,
you really
about a water martini.
Nah, dude, you stumped
talk
me
about
just thinking about
cocktails for a
chugging
second.
vodka, and I just got a little sick to my stomach. Just thinking about the last time Kylan did that.
Oh, of course it would be Kylan doing that. Kylan, there's quite the character that's developing in Kylan on this stream. You know, he's this mysterious. Okay, all he does is put his middle finger up. You know,
I'm realizing
and
now
talk about Creed and chat.
Kylan probably partially lashes out because we never give him a microphone, so he has to like lash
I don't
out in
think he
chat and
should.
flipping off the camera.
No, he's doing enough. You know.
Take his voice away, he'll find a way.
Use all his other senses.
And that's why we love him. You know, that's why we love Kylan.
Hey, what if we tried
But
this?
just to
Oh, sorry. What if you and Brady both called up the same settings between the Whitecap and Blackcap?
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
All right, let's do it. We're gonna get the same settings. So Whitecap, you know, at their heart here, we've got a digital side which has more features. It's got your wave shape and everything selectable, tap tempo, yada yada, and analog side has rate, depth, and volume. So between the two, the analog side is the same. Correct?
We kept the analog side, which is a what we're calling a standard tremolo. It's just modulating volume. So that the section controlled by these three knobs is the same on each, which you can kind of see the link there. The three white top knobs are common to both.
I want to try two different waveforms because I really like the saw, you know, the up and down.
Yeah.
But for like practical measures, should we go like maybe triangle?
Yeah, triangle sounds good.
So we're more in the realm of like some normal. I'm on parallel.
Looking at your set.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know.
Do you have this volume
I love watching this.
all the way down?
I do have volume all the way down on that one.
Oh, you must have tapped in a tempo.
Yeah, I did. All right, so let's take that over. I'm gonna go right at noon. How about that? Noon, depth. All the way up on both. Kill, you got a dweller going?
Let's kill the analog side just so we can hear what's going on. So you can hear how your volume is doing that. So you get that different effect because of the
I just want to do a quick shout out to Randy, who is currently on a walk with his phone blasting full volume this stream. Shouts out.
Shouts out to Randy's neighborhood.
Yeah.
True American.
Also,
Randy Bone.
Randy, we don't have to answer this question now, but Randy did have a good question of favorite use of trem versus favorite use of chorus.
I think those are just two different things, Randy. And I feel like he should know that.
He's aware they're two different things.
So
That's
you
why he
just
asked
feel
the
like
question.
they always put me in very different places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like chorus, I like a slow, deep, kind of shimmery sound. Tremolo, more of like a medium. I mean, honestly, like
It's
like
so
this type of harmonic tremolo is my ideal tremolo sound.
What's so funny to
not
me
even
is like,
full depth.
Yeah, just like pretty high depths. You know, some intensity so you can notice it, but you keep some definition on the attack.
See, I like a good. I want to like.
you got trem on the procession there too.
I want something drony, rhythmic, and then something that's super choppy. That's like, so it's not even. I feel like this is primarily how I use tremolo. It's just to chop up
things.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah,
I mean, you like the slicer too. It's like the things that just take a.
Why don't you have a slicer on here, Brady? That's like your jam.
Well, because we're focusing on these.
We're focusing on tremolo though. I want to hear the slicer.
So
pull out the slicer later.
See, we're getting fun.
Now we're getting fun.
So you can just do a lot of stuff with it.
See, I feel like both tremolo and chorus are effects that at this point in my life, I want them to be like full on, like straight up square wave, full depth, full pitch, like insane, like corn style vibrato, or nothing, you know?
Yeah, chorus is it feels like such a. Yeah. Well, I guess there's the way that I tend to use it, and then it's hardly ever just for like thickening up rhythm or chords or anything.
Right.
It's usually to give single notes the ability to stand out on top of other things that are happening.
It's funny to realize I'm in a very different place with modulation than you guys are, where I like the harmonic trem type sound and not chorus exactly, but like my setting on Visitor that I've been using a lot, which is like a full wet phaser in parallel with a full wet chorus. So it's kind of a vibrato and phaser, like, or two vibratos playing with each other. But both of those settings, I like will leave them on for a long time and then just realize, oh, that's been on this whole time. It's like I'm going for that subtle movement where I like forget it's there. So this is probably like this. This is like a harmonic tremolo that I would dial in where I would kind of forget it was there after playing for one.
Yeah, but it's almost with that you can hear what it's doing more when you're playing sustained chords and stuff, which is
if you do single.
Yeah. So it lends itself towards working well with sort of rhythm or like fuller presented musical ideas rather than like if something's super choppy and fast, you can
use it to really accentuate something.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get a full picture as to what it's doing.
It's much more as an effect rather than an enhancer of whatever you're doing with the instrument. It's like an effect in its own so you couldn't achieve anything that felt anything like it with the instrument alone.
Yeah, it's like a crutch.
Well, tremolo for me too is like I'm notoriously like I hate delays lining up with tempo. I think that's super boring personally. But a tremolo that's like super synced with the song and you like have it set for quarter notes or even like triplets or something, and like a full square wave, full depth where it's just like that, like you're doing some like you're almost doing electronic music at that point where you're doing like a dubstep drop or something, you know? I don't know. I get that. That sort of energy makes me excited.
Saw that on video.
Which is like for a
great.
guitar player, you're thinking about like a Fender amp, you're like some nice little movement or whatever. I'm just like I'm thinking of like a new metal song with like some hardcore trem in it.
Just fully tempo match, tempo sync.
Yeah.
Which I mean, and that's why there's a tap tempo on the digital side, is because sometimes you want to be able to just hit a button twice and lock into the tempo of what you're working with. Before we get too off path, I just realized multiple times I was like, which we'll talk about the difference later, but I guess I should just talk about the difference real quick of like standard and harmonic tremolo. So if you're debating Whitecap and Blackcap, basically
Get both.
Yeah, it's true. 4 tremolos, run them in parallel with a signal blender, so you can do 4 parallel tremolo signals.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's basically instead of turning your volume up and down, it splits your signal into highs and lows. And so the kind of the voice of a harmonic tremolo is largely defined by where that split happens. And then what it does is it applies the volume changes to your lows and highs opposite each other. So basically it's like fading between lows and highs back and forth. Mm-hmm. And so what it creates is something that's almost phasery. Like it's a different effect, but it sort of sits between tremolo and phaser, where you always have some signal happening. You can hear even at full depth, it doesn't go off, on. It goes like lows, highs.
Yeah.
And the way it passes between them creates these little phase shifts between your highs and lows.
Wait, so
it just,
so for me, I remember the last stream where we talked about harmonic trem, and I'm wondering now, like, what does a phaser do that's different than a trem, than a harmonic trem? Because if harmonic trem is just like filtering frequencies, then is a phaser just the same thing but with like some sort of resonance or something?
so
Does that make sense?
a phaser is basically just doing its filtering in a different way, which I have tried to understand this for years, and I'm like getting close to grasping it up here, but to like conveying it, we'll see. But a phaser is built on something called an all-pass filter, and that is you can do that in the analog world and the digital world. In the digital world, you can use that to create reverbs, but in the analog world, you can do it to create phasers. And basically, what happens with an all-pass filter is, rather than a harmonic tremolo is going to do a low pass and a high pass at the same point to split it into lows and highs, a phaser is going to take the full signal and put it through an all-pass filter, which all pass means it lets all the frequencies pass through, which doesn't make a lot of sense because it's like, what would that do then? Basically, what it does is all the frequencies come through, but at different times. And so that's how you can kind of craft a reverb with these really long all pass filters, because you get like your kind of highs and lows pass through it in different ways at different times. But if it's a super short thing, and especially in the analog world where it's not using any delay element, it's just doing an all pass filter, it creates a phase difference. And so when you put a sound through like 4 all pass filters, and you're changing the, like, this is the part where I always break down. It's like, what is changing exactly in a phaser? But essentially you're just shifting an element of the all pass filter in a way where it creates like phase cancellations. So I think part of
frequency shift, right? Similar to the harmonic trem, right? Some frequency shifting somewhere.
Yeah, so it's basically that rather than ever taking out any frequencies, you're just shifting the way that the all pass filter passes things through. So like the timing of how phase shifted parts of it get. So you can imagine like your lows come through immediately and your highs get phase shifted by 45 degrees, or that's not how it works, but just for like simplicity's sake, you imagine that the phase relationship shifts as you move through your frequencies that are passing through it.
Is that not why the phase 90 is called that? Because it's 90 degrees?
I think so, yeah, because I think a phase 90 has 4 all-pass filters, and then a phase 45 has 2.
Right.
And so the 45 is less, it's a more subtle effect, because I think for every pair of all-pass filters, that's where you create like a notch. And so the more all-pass filters, so that's why like if you take like that Boss green phaser and you keep upping the stages, you get a more intense phaser effect because you keep adding notches by adding 2 all-pass filters at a time.
And if you keep turning that knob up, then you join the band Incubus.
Exactly.
That's what happens. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's
Dan truly does explain it all, folks, and that's why he's here.
One day I'll get it enough to be confident that I'm right and explain it well. So
listen,
if anyone in the chat knows that I'm wrong, please tell me.
In today's
I'm still
society,
working on it.
You don't need to be right. You just need to be confident. You know.
It's true.
That's all.
I have a question, Dan.
Yeah.
Maybe this doesn't pertain to tremolo, but maybe it's not even a question. Something I'm noticing with
Like
my
that.
son is like, he's got a toy that it's a dinosaur that roars, but the speaker is on the side of the body, and he's like, "Hey, check this out," and he'll put his hand over it. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like he modulates it with his hand, and then I was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm quiet like a mouse." I'm listening to the stream after, so there's a huge delay on my voice, so I can't wear headphones while I'm talking.
Ooh, weird.
Okay.
So was the question basically like, what's happening there?
No,
like,
sorry, I kind of stopped.
Well, Shoe Gazelle is talking about the Leslie speaker, which I think that's a more similar thing to what you're talking about, Seth, like just physically putting a hand over a mic. Like a
Yeah.
Leslie speaker is the thing spinning, which I guess in a smallest sense that's just a filtering thing, because if the speaker's faced away from you, you're losing some high end, right? That's kind of, is that the basics of it? I don't know. It's science.
Yeah, I mean, like some high end, some volume, some depending on the room you're in, or like the way that the cabinet reflects, or different elements like that. You can create other phase and time differences.
Right.
But Seth, what was the end of your question or thought, I guess?
Well, I guess when I think of sound, I think of or sounds like that, I think of them being organically changed to sound different. So like putting your hand over your mouth quickly or over a speaker to change the sound of it. You're basically changing the space between the sound waves and the physical thing that's reflecting it back, right? Like, so that's the way I understand it in the physical realm. Is the digital version of that just kind of the digital interpretation of how that works in the physical realm? Like,
so I guess
like the way echo works, for instance, when you yell in a cavern.
Yeah, and I think a lot of digital or even just analog, like solid state implementations of those sounds are aiming to recreate something in the physical world that is probably much more complicated. So like you could think that when your son is like is doing that, like putting his hands like close to and far away from the sound source, it's getting quieter and louder. So you would say like, oh, that's kind of like a tremolo then. Theoretically, that's an element of it. It gets quieter and louder, but it doesn't sound that way because there's also like how much of the sound is maybe passing through his hand. Maybe it's blocking some frequencies, but not all of them. So maybe that's creating phase differential or time differential. And again, just like the room you're in, the spacing of things, there's all these.
You
all
got
these
the dang
elements
Doppler effect, you know?
Yeah, Doppler effect. The other day I learned that like we talk about like jet plane flangers sometimes, or it's like a plane going overhead. And I learned that it's basically like as a plane is flying over you, you're hearing the sound from the sky and also the reflected sound from the sidewalk. And because that like the time difference shifts as the plane goes by, it creates something like a flanger effect, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's part of how you get that jet plane swoosh, is just by modulating the time difference between the dry signal, the plane sound coming from the sky, and then the wet signal, which is like what's reflecting off the ground beneath you.
That's interesting. I've said this to people previously to sound smart, one of those things, but like I've heard before, like, so when it comes to doing acoustics in a room or whatever, like if you're trying to treat a room for acoustics or whatever, it's like you'll find, or if you look at studios or whatever, you'll find that people treat the ceilings but not the floor. Like the floor is super reflective, but the ceilings are not. And that's because like as a human being, we're constantly a certain distance away from the floor, but we're always a different distance away from our ceiling. And so what, like a natural sound that we hear is a floor reflection. So floor reflections are always natural to us because they're always the same distance from the floor, but a ceiling reflection is unnatural because it's always a different distance. And so if you look at studios and stuff, you tend to see the ceiling's treated, but the floor's not.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's my thing. So don't have carpet in your studio, folks. That's all.
So interesting.
Yeah, acoustics are fascinating, and I fully do not understand them. I get
Like it
I
goes
get,
into
I get
like
this
brain
much of
stuff.
the exactly perceptions and things that are very hard to model with a really simple thing. I think part of why phaser is so hard to understand is it's like you can understand a time difference, so like it's an echo, but a phase difference is like, well, I don't like you can look at it on paper, but you can't imagine what it sounds like. And in fact, like just listening to a signal, like flipping the phase of a signal and then listening to just that signal, sounds just like it did before. But then you start combining out of phase signals, and that's when things do this. Yeah, so that's, I mean, I think we covered the basic difference of
that
essentially
was our big brain dive for the stream.
Yeah.
The rest of the stream is going to be super dumb, not smart stuff. That was too much smart stuff.
Yeah, so that's basically, I guess the last thing to hit on Blackcap and Whitecap differences is that even though the analog tremolos are exactly the same, the way that they interact with their digital tremolos is going to change. Because one of the things about the Whitecap is the digital tremolo has like a tiny bit of latency to it, and so when they're both on, it actually sounds a little like phase canceled or like comb filtered. And so
wait, so
volume just got way louder.
Nope, needed it to go down. Everything went up. If there's one mix, then I thought that.
wait, so here's a weird technical question.
Yeah.
So you've got Whitecap and Blackcap there. You're saying in each pedal there's a analog and a digital tremolo.
Yes.
So what is, like, inside of the pedal, what is the mechanical difference between a analog and a digital one?
So analog is basically creating its waveform using it's basically a bunch of transistors, and so there's a set of transistors that are like creating a wave, and so you'll notice there's no control over the shape of the wave of the analog side, because it's just a fixed shape. You can change the rate and the depth, but the sort of weight of it, how much it is like a triangle or like a square, or whether it's like kind of lopsided or whatever, is all just kind of set by different like resistors and capacitors in the system. And they're basically just like pulling, I think it's like an op amp that's kind of taking your main signal and then like using that analog wave shape to pull its volume up and down. I can't remember the exact mechanics of it, but that's the basic details of it are it's using all analog components to do that. Whereas the digital side, it's got like a microcontroller that's connected to the tap tempo and all the controls. And then that is talking with the FV1 chip that we use for all of our digital stuff. The microcontroller is basically telling it, move at this speed or this depth, etc. And essentially it's creating, a digital copy of your signal and doing what it does. Using all digital controls. So it's just the old way of doing something and the new way of doing something. So with the new way, you can do, wave shapes and tap tempo. And there's ways to, combine digital and analog to have an analog tremolo that's digitally controlled. But we just thought it would be more fun to have basically two fully separate tremolos in the same box and then be able to route them series or parallel, so you can just create some different textures with them, and specifically like have a bunch of control over one and very little control over the other, so that it gives you the opportunity for the your clean tap tempo square waves, but it also gives you the opportunity for discovery where you're just turning knobs and suddenly you find a combination of tremolos that you would not have like tightly tapped in yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the Blackcap, the harmonic trim is the digital one. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the analog works all the same way, and then the digital, it's that same thing. Just the FV1 is taking your signal, making a digital copy, and doing what it does, but it's doing different stuff to create the harmonic trim. And there are analog harmonic trims too. I mean, the original ones were tube based. They were in amplifiers, but it's way easier to do digitally, so that's how I did it.
There was a question on there that Emily had a little while back about our favorite Sawtooth, and I think Sawtooth waveform.
She said
tremolo.
reverse Sawtooth.
Oh, okay. Well, so we're
going to ramp up into a sharp drop.
Yeah, we definitely.
I was gonna have to make a confession that I can never remember which is reverse and which is forward. So sorry, you said ramp up and then a sharp drop down.
I'm pretty sure that's right. You're ramping up and then a sharp drop down.
Yeah,
that's the reverse Sawtooth.
So we took a lot of inspiration on the Sawtooth modes just because they're really fun and so percussive.
Yeah.
Slow it down. Slow that shit down.
Oh,
let me hear it. Turn that knob down. Let me really hear that. So you hear a ramp up and then a cut. That's a reverse Sawtooth.
Yeah.
The regular Sawtooth would be like bunch, and then it would fade.
So here's regular, normal or reverse, and then regular.
Yeah.
They are lightly softened on here too, so you get, I feel like at faster rates you do get a bit more if you're doing the main Sawtooth and you want that percussive attack.
That's reverse. Yeah, it's very different. How's it sound on
So then, the harmonic tremolo is interesting because usually implementations of harmonic will be like just sine or triangle waves, but
interesting.
Because you don't get the volume drop, you just get like a sudden shift into the lows.
It's funny, it's like that wouldn't normally, like if I heard that by itself, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a tremolo.
It's
I'd be like, that's something else.
It feels like a filter pedal at that point.
Yeah.
So then,
filters are boring though, huh? Who would have a filter pedal?
I think early on this was one of the first tremolo pedals that kind of inspired me, like with different waveforms, and it's the Cusack Tapple Roll.
Famously used by Mr. James Duke.
Oh, JD.
Don't say and-splaining, Kylan. I'm offended by that.
You can ban him.
I could. He's a mod though. Someone made him a mod in this channel. Can I ban a mod?
I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, this thing's really cool. I don't even remember everything that it can do, but there's a lot of different wave pattern selection stuff. And
talking about the Cusack Tapple Roll versus, so one of my favorite tremolos is the full tone Super Trem.
Okay.
Which I know we can't use full tone pedals anymore, or at least I don't want to. But the thing about the Super Trem is that it has that big ass knob on it that you can literally grab with your foot.
Yeah.
Ramp. So that was actually my first introduction to like ramping values on pedals. It was like changing parameter while the sound is happening. And that was only because the knob was so big that you could hit it with your foot and do something, right?
I guess, should we talk about how you can actually ramp inside Blackcap and Whitecap?
Was
that
somebody
intentionally
actually asked about it?
Okay.
Do that.
I was about to say that reverse Sawtooth sounds especially cool when you're using the ramper.
Yeah, so the way the ramper works is like you hold the tap switch and you see how rate 2 says ramp below it. You can decide whether you ramp up and how quickly you ramp up the speed, or whether you ramp down and how quickly you ramp down the speed. So I'm gonna have it ramp up to something fast. I'm gonna start it at like kind of a slower speed, and on the reverse side. So then when you hold the tap, as you hold it, it gets faster, and then when you let go, it'll come back down.
Well, see, and over here, I've got the Chase Bliss Gravitas over here, which is also ramping its rate, but it's on a. I have mine set for a square wave on each side, so it's just a straight up square wave. But you should hear like it goes very slow.
Yeah.
But then it speeds up. Like I just like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a good sound.
I mean, that's just because it's like full depth, straight up square wave thing. I know it can get a little simpler than that, but like, I love just a straight up cut. You know?
It's a fun sound.
Yeah. What's the slow? Oh, Aaron has a good question. What's the slowest trem time each can do? That's important.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I don't
think it was like 2 seconds peak to peak or something. So if you put the rate all the way down, it doesn't quite bottom out, so we can literally just listen for, let's make it a square wave, max out the depth. That's how slow it can go.
But now it's funny because like that sound on a harmonic trem versus a standard trem is going to be so different.
Yeah.
Like the slower you get.
Yeah,
it's very strange with like the square wave. So just bring your rate all the way down on a square wave, just so you can hear it most clearly.
No Oh, let me kill it.
Like Brady's signal is going to be pure volume, but
Is it?
Dan's is going to be all his
Yeah.
filter stuff.
Yeah, so his signal will go away, and you'll hear how the edges are kind of smooth, so it does ramp down because that's a little trick to avoid like a popping sound on the fast square wave. It's technically like a trapezoid. It's a very square looking trapezoid, so that you do a little ramp down and ramp up instead of just like immediate changes. So when you're really slow, you can actually hear the square wave like come down and come up.
What would it sound like if you didn't do a trapezoid? If it was just a straight square, it would just be like a straight up pop. Like if you
it's a little bit of pop, like when you more like when you turn on a pedal. Sometimes you'll get that little pop, depending, pedal to pedal, situation to situation. Sometimes you'll get just a little pop on the foot switch, and it's just because you're making an instantaneous change in volume, and so it creates just a tiny little audible pop. So
that makes me think of like, because I've had enough conversations with people who develop pedals to like be aware of things that
discrete circuitry. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought you were questioning my thing. Okay. No, but just there are so many little things like that in pedal design that I feel like people don't see. So
That's incorrect.
Dan, you and I have been talking about something that we can't talk about on the stream right now.
Yes,
but like tremolo.
No, you
like,
guys haven't.
The way you like even like a square wave thing.
I don't
on the tremolo,
think so.
The fact that you, Dan, are saying like it's more like a trapezoid.
First time it was
I'm
real.
just ignoring
and then
Brady.
after that
I'm
it
just
wasn't.
ignoring
Sorry.
whatever you're saying. Right now, I'm talking to Dan.
I don't know. I just
Dan
felt
and
it was important that we have 3 cross conversations.
That's what streaming is about.
Could somebody read off what Aaron's saying while all of this is
But like, so many little things about designing a pedal are like, okay, we're doing a square wave sound, but actually it's a trapezoid. Like, that's why it sounds good in any way, because the actual square wave does not sound good. Like a mathematical square wave, it's gonna be like, psh, there's gonna be like an insane little transient in there that most guitar players would be like, that sounds like shit. I do not want that in my signal.
Why is it noisy? Other square wave tremolos are fine. It's like, well, they're actually trapezoids. And honestly, it's funny. I was just going to say it's funny hearing it super slow and being like, what's wrong with that square? Oh, right, that's my fault. But it's just because it's like a standardized shape. And so the slower it gets, the more you can hear that, that elimination of the transient by
But that's good, because if you didn't do that, it would sound so much different.
Yeah, the first code for Whitecap, it was like, oh, it sounds great slow, but then medium and fast speeds in particular, it was just like you were just hearing like transients more than signal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. I remember we talked about some different elements that create pops in the other thing, and how to smooth those out in a way where the player does not even have to think about it. It's just like, this sounds great. I don't have to worry about whether somebody smoothed it out in R&D.
When it's fun as a I don't know if it's fun actually, but as a designer, you're like making some decisions for the artist that they don't even know they're making, kind of.
Yeah, trying to catch the things that are undesirable sounds. Sometimes you stumble on something and go, I don't know, is that good or is that bad? Other times you stumble on it and go, we can take care of that before anybody hears it.
Right. James Swift is asking in the chat. He says, wait, what was that thing from earlier?
Just real quick, the Whitecap and Blackcap are both digital on one side, so the 4 knob controls are digital. Somebody asked that earlier on, and that's what I was disagreeing about.
The 3 white knobs are the analog side,
that's
right?
That's correct,
yes.
And that's the same on both designs. And then the programming and sound is different on the digital side of both.
Yeah.
From one unit, not one unit, from one design to the next.
Yeah.
And so,
from one unit to the next.
James Swift is asking about the phase cancellation thing we were talking about with Whitecap, which I believe, if I understand you correctly, it's because there's a slight amount of latency in the digital side versus the analog side.
Yes, exactly.
And so when there's that offset, you're going to get a little bit of phase cancellation when you're in parallel, right?
Exactly
that right?
Yeah. So in series, you won't notice it because it's a super short latency, so it's not a latency you're going to feel, but it creates that phase cancellation when it's the two dry signals mixed and one of them has been digitally processed. That one's going to have a little bit of latency. Put them together in parallel and creates that slightly like kind of out of phase comb filtered sound.
And if you want to get super nerdy about it, you imagine a waveform existing, and then you imagine a copy of that waveform existing slightly late. So what's going to happen is like there's going to be peaks and valleys in those signals, and in some points they're going to combine to increase each other and be like, we are now double. But in sometimes it's going to cancel itself out and be like, okay, when this one signal was up, this other signal was down, and so we're going to level out to 0. That's phase cancellation.
Exactly.
And so depending on what the time is on your delay on the, I'm sure you've set it up in the Whitecap so it sounds good, but like there's a potential for it to completely cancel out your signal. If you
if it was exactly
and lay it on top of itself, it will end up with 0 sound. That's how phase works.
Yeah, and we it's, I guess we'll call it a happy accident, basically, when just working on an analog thing and a digital thing together. We smushed them together and it sounded like that, and we had to kind of take a step and go like, what's happening here? Is something going wrong? And then realized, it's just like it's some inherent latency of anything that's digital is going to have a little bit of latency. And basically just decided to roll with it. We listened to it and we said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And we thought, it's more character for just, again, that sheer mix of digital tremolo, analog tremolo, see what happens. That's what happens. And it's kind of cool. And yeah, in series, you're not gonna have any of that cancellation because one signal just feeds straight into the other instead of them existing on top of each other like you kind of drew out.
Hey, phase cancellation happens to the best of us,
It does.
It's not a problem.
I was handed this Earthquaker hummingbird, which is really cool. Percussive tremolo.
Do you need a hammer for that switch?
Dan, will you slide that
into frame this way a little bit. There you go.
Do your thing, Twitter. Fixes are canceled. Man, cancel cultures come from my favorite phases,
We're not going to talk about this.
Cancel culture?
We're just not going to do it, Andy. We are not going to talk about this on here.
And if you try to talk about cancel culture, you will no longer be invited back.
All right.
How's
so
that
instead of talking about cancel culture, let's talk about full tone effect pedals. You guys want to talk about full tone effects?
Me and Randy made the same joke at the same time.
Gee, that's some genius shit.
No, brother. I mean, I could honestly make a drone into stuff like tremolos or flangers or stuff like that and just tweak knobs.
Well,
and
here,
be
can
super happy.
Can I share my manifesto
I've been
with all of
doing
you
that.
guys?
I guess that is what
manifesto?
Andy does.
I was going to say, I could share my radical ambient manifesto with you guys if you want, regarding modulation and stuff.
Do it.
So tremolo.
Yeah, you talk, we're just going to noodle.
Yeah, so tremolo, chorus, stuff that's... Are those technically time-based pedals?
Tremolo would not be, chorus would be.
Chorus would be, but
yeah.
How do you separate delay and reverb from like... Because that's like a delayed sound, like, but tremolo and chorus are like a real time. Does that make sense? Like, there's nothing delayed about a tremolo.
Yeah, then so I guess really, normally you wouldn't call a chorus like a time-based effect. You manipulate time to make it happen. Tremolo, you don't do any time manipulation to make it happen.
Right.
But you would still put them in just, more modulation category. But if you wanted to be, if you felt like it, if it was useful for the manifesto, you could call the chorus a time-based
for the
effect.
manifesto. So whatever is good for the manifesto, that's what I'm gonna go for right now. But so for me, as an ambient guy who's sitting here trying to deal with mental illness and not play guitar, it's like I am so tremolo as an effect, not just as a pedal, is like over a certain period of time you can remove the signal and then let it come back in. And I'm like, for my brain as an arrangement thing, that sounds like a very cool textural opportunity. So like a tremolo, if it can go as slow as possible and be responsible for bringing a texture in and out. Because I know maybe people don't think about a tremolo as like a volume pedal that you're setting to do something on its own, you know? If you can do it so slow that you can't perceive the speed of it, then it becomes like an arrangement tool. And that's what I'm into.
Yeah.
Where it's so slow that you can't tell that it's a tremolo, but you can tell that the song is moving in some way.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's the stuff I'm into.
You'll have a moment where you realize things are different, but you weren't tracking the change that made it happen.
But you won't be able to say that's a tremolo that made that happen.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It was just a slow volume change over time, which is a tremolo. But, you know, whatever. That's my manifesto.
Honestly, I feel like that's another thing that I like about a harmonic tremolo. Like, I would love hearing a very slow harmonic tremolo affecting something in that same way, where it's essentially just acting as a slow filter.
Right.
Which that would be an interesting thing, you know, a filter so slow that you couldn't track the changes that were happening, you know.
That would be interesting. Yeah. Wait, but so for in a harmonic trem, is there any sense of resonance in it?
There is, yeah, and it's kind of just baked in. The depth control changes it a little bit, where like if depth is all the way down, you'll just get the full signal without any resonance. But as you turn the depth up, it increases the depth of the effect, but it also adds some resonance to it. Because it seems like resonance is a pretty big part of the like character of a harmonic tremolo. So just crossfading between the two has a particular sound, but crossfading between the two when there's some resonance at that frequency that separates them, just I don't know what it is, but there's just something a little bit different about it that gives it a bit more character to it. I wish I had like could just like recode it real quick, like resonance equals 0 and go from there.
Right. And that actually makes it. So Aaron asked earlier about what the Whitecap and Blackcap's like fastest tempos are and whether they get into ring mod territory or not. Because I feel like there's tremolo, which is like the effect at this certain slower ranges, and then when you get to higher rates, then that's just straight up at ring mod. Is that, or is there a different way to think about tremolo versus ring mod?
No, I think that's a perfect way of thinking about it. So difference between a low frequency oscillator and an audio frequency oscillator. So
yeah,
if you get it fast enough to where it's into the the LFO that's changing the tremolo, if you get that fast enough to where it's in the audible range, suddenly you're turning your signal on and off so fast that you hear it as like a tone, and so that's
pitch,
the way that ring mod does it is it's kind of plays with.
So what is the fastest? How close can the Blackcap and Whitecap get to ring mod?
So they don't get on the digital side. They get fast, but not quite that fast. Partially just because it starts to sound a little bit gross. You get less control over those transients, so it can just get noisy, but still very fast. So this is how fast the Blackcap goes on the digital side. Analog side, you actually can, and the way that it's set up, it actually starts to bottom out a little bit. So if you look at this LED as I turn up the rate, you'll see that up top, the LED starts to get dimmer and dimmer until it's almost gone at the top.
It's like phase cancellation within the light.
Yeah, it's basically like the LFO, it's this analog LFO like trying to turn on and off as fast as it can, but it just can't. It's like the depth gets limited because it's like, I'm trying so hard, but I can't quite do it. But it gets very, very ring moddy at that point. So I like
when I'm doing my best, I also get a little dim, so
I like feeding it in series, like so starting with a ring moddy tremolo and then modulating that with the digital side.
Well, and so I've got, wait, where is it? I've got the Moog Ring Mod, which, so this guy has so that low and high switch right here on my Moog Ring Mod, it that's basically a switch between this pedal being a trem or a ring mod. When it's on high, it's a ring mod. When it's on low, it's a trem.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So that's my trem story for this pedal that I bought. Hey, you've got one too. Look at that. Look at us.
I love that the most fun tremolos get into ring mod territory, and the most fun ring mods get into tremolo territory.
Well, yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a cool effect, but like, can it be another effect too?
Different.
Well, what's funny about having owning a trem or a ring mod is like, yeah, you got a trem, you're like, damn, it'd be cool if this thing could go like hella fast, right?
Yeah.
And then if you have a ring mod, you're like, damn, it'd be cool if this thing could go like hella slow. You know?
Yeah. You're just looking for like a stunt setting on each where you can be like, listen to that crazy tremolo. Okay, but here's how I normally use it.
Yeah.
And the ring mod is like, why do you own that? It's like, no, it's a tremolo too. See, it's normal. It's fine.
Right.
We also have a tremolo in this thing, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, tremolo.
I feel
that
like
is just
we haven't
on the
mentioned
reverb
enough
trails,
that there's a tremolo on the procession as well as the Whitecap.
That's a good point. Yeah, that there is a tremolo on the procession.
So if you want tremolo on your reverbed out signal and not your dry signal necessarily, could be a good way to go, you know?
Yeah. Or you can get kind of 3 tremolos happening where your dry signal is double tremoloed with the Whitecap.
Who needs
and
your
your wet
dry
signal
signal?
is triple tremoloed.
Get your dry signal out of there. You don't need that. All you need is old low noise pedals. You need 3 of them in a row. Get your dry signal out of there, and then it's straight to the grand.
There you go. There's all 3.
There you go.
That's a good sound. Because you start to latch on to rhythms. You're like, oh, I understand how these are interacting, and then they shift from each other.
And then you
again.
don't.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I feel like I could listen to this for the rest of the stream.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, it's already an hour. Damn.
No, that was a joke, but it actually might be time.
Is it? Yeah, we may actually be. I'm ready to zone out if
No, that's where I was
we didn't have any other
Zone out
questions.
time.
Any other questions from the chat? You've got 5 seconds. Get out of here, dry signal. Oh yeah, A.
A major? Is that where?
You guys want me to sing? Don't make me
Yeah.
sing. Oh, come on, don't tell me to sing, guys. Quit it.
I'm up here, you're down here.
I'm not gonna sing.
All right. Thanks for joining us today on Fridays. Every Friday. Not
Every
next Friday, probably, because Seth and I are going to be sleepy sick.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we're going to go mainline some drugs and just plan on taking a hard out on Friday.
So you're saying me and Dan should put something together for next Friday?
If you guys can figure out the camera setup, good luck to you.
Listen,
Seth,
someone
just leave
got
it
a
set
new
up. I'll get
computer
it.
this past week who's excited about streaming and has the power to stream at any time. So,
As always, I appreciate you guys joining us, taking time out of your day while we've taken time out of our day. But you never say thank you. But we say thank you, but it's fun. But Andy, thanks for joining us. Dan, thanks for joining
having
us.
yeah.
Dude, these thank yous are for you guys. Seth, thanks for joining us. Give us a big...
Seth, thanks for putting this together.
Thank you.
Seth's the hero.
Oh, thank you.
Kylan, out of the room.
Kylan's my favorite.
Thanks to everybody for listening to me try to understand phase as I explain it.
All right. Keep your small shops in business, and
Keep the
have
spirits up.
have grace
you know?
and mercy for them. And
Grace and mercy.
And hopefully one day we can all just play board games together and breathe each other's air.
Go get
I want to
yourself
put my
a
mouth
shot.
on your mouth, Brady.
Let's have fun this year.
All right, Andy, I'll see you 8 p.m. on Monday in Oklahoma City. We've got a risk game lined up.
I mean, that's a joke you're saying that, but like I would go.
No, Kelly,
I would
and
be
I
there.
we're doing something. We're either playing pool or doing risk.
Okay.
So come on.
Okay. I'll play Risk. Yeah, that's fine.
That's awesome. All right. This is it. See you guys later.
Adios.
That's it. See you, folks.